Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Swati, doing my MTech in Signal Processing in Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology. I would like to present my final semester project on the topic Optimization of Automated Characterization of White Blood Cells and Identification of Malarial Parasite Plasmodium vivax from blood smear images with unique feature extraction. I did my project in Robert Bosch, Bangalore as part of my internship, and Anusha Naik was my guide in Bosch. My internal guides are Dominic Sir and Meena ma'am, who was guiding me in the initial stage. I have done my project in two entirely different things. One was related to WBC, white blood cells, and the second one was malarial parasite. For white blood cells, my part was just to validate the results of the algorithm to classify WBC into its 5 types that was already developed in Bosch. In the case of malarial parasite, the aim was to detect Plasmodium vivax alone from the image with unique feature extraction, and to complete my project I had to go for deep learning method for the identification of the same. These are the contents I'll be covering today. First, about the abstract that gives you the overall idea of the whole project. Then the introduction part, which introduces you to the various topics. Then the basic block diagram of the steps involved in methodology. Then the phase 1 of the project, which deals with optimization of characterization of WBC. Then the validation of results and summary of phase 1. Then comes the phase 2 of the project, which deals with identification of Plasmodium vivax, the different stages of Plasmodium species, the dataset of images, then the tasks done, which include the 3D surface plots, histogram equalization, color channel plots, and features extracted. Then comes the summary of feature extraction part. Then the next part is the deep learning method, the Inception V3 model, programming environment and packages, conclusion, future scope, and references. Abstract. The project is divided into two separate phases. First, the optimization of characterization of white blood cells. Second, identification of malarial parasite, Plasmodium vivax from blood smear images with unique feature extraction. White blood cells or WBC play an important role in human immune system fighting foreign organisms and protecting our internal systems. Automated classification of white blood cells into its 5 different types is an important research topic and challenging. It helps the pathologist to diagnose disease caused by abnormality in WBC and avoids human errors. Malaria is a dreadful disease causing millions of deaths all over the world. It is a disease caused by parasite belonging to genus Plasmodium. It requires rapid and effective diagnosis for detecting and classifying the type of infection, and timely treatment is required to prevent its outbreak. Microscopic examination of thick blood films by pathologists is one of the current standards for malarial diagnosis. However, inspecting a thick blood film is time consuming and requires experienced technicians. Hence, for developing countries where most cases of malaria occur but microscopic expertise may not be available, an automated system to detect and classify the malaria causing parasites into its different types and to aid such diagnosis is desirable. There are 5 different species of Plasmodium. In this project, only one type is considered, which is Plasmodium vivax, showing its 3 different stages that must be identified from blood smear, since it is the most common parasite causing malaria, and also enough datasets are not available for the rest of the types. In India, the number of pathologists is found to be 1 per 65,000 people, which shows the time delay in producing the results of a person and thereby delaying the treatment that must be given immediately to the person if anything found abnormal in the result. This ratio is scary and solution to that need to be found, which became the motivation to yield this project. Introduction. Blood is a connective tissue that consists of a fluid known as plasma and blood cells, namely red blood cells or RBCs, white blood cells or WBCs, and platelets. A blood smear is a drop of blood spread thinly onto a glass slide that is then treated with a special stain, and the blood cells on the slide are examined and evaluated. It shows a snapshot of the cells that are present in the blood at the time the sample is obtained. So the blood smear allows for the evaluation of the following cells: white blood cells, or otherwise known as leukocytes, which help fight infections or participate in immune responses. Second one is the red blood cells or erythrocytes, which carry oxygen to tissues. The last one is the platelets or thrombocytes, which are small cell fragments vital to proper blood clotting. Region of interest in blood smear. Examination of a blood smear is an integral part of hematology. It helps to determine the count, size, shape, and types of different cells and the relative percentage. Deriving full value from blood smear examination requires a well-prepared, well-stained blood smear and some basic skills in the methods of assessment. A well-made blood smear consists of several areas: the feathered edge, the monolayer, and the base of the smear. All parts of the smear should be examined. However, the monolayer is the area where the cells are examined in close detail and differential cell counts are performed. The monolayer is chosen as region of interest and can also be defended to have enough discrete ideal cells with undisturbed morphology for processing. The ideal region is thus monolayer. The figure shows image indicating the various regions of blood smear. The application point is where you put a drop of blood and a label is stuck at the top for identification. A variety of diseases and conditions can affect the number and appearance of blood cells. Examination of blood smear can be used to support findings from other tests and examinations. Traditionally, pathologists have examined blood smears manually using a microscope. More recently, automated digital systems have become available to help analyze blood smears more efficiently. Now comes the basic block diagram of steps involved in methodology. Block diagram shows the basic workflow of the project, common for both classification of WBC and identification of Plasmodium vivax. A strong image dataset is a base step for any image-related machine learning algorithms. Image pre-processing is done so as to remove noise and give out best quality images. Feature engineering is the process by which features are extracted to train the machine. Machine learning predicts the result and it is manually validated to check the accuracy of the system. Now we'll look into each one in detail. First one is the image acquisition. Image acquisition deals with the creation of image dataset captured from object of interest which shows its visual characteristics. To create a strong database, we need images of different types of WBC and images showing all the stages of Plasmodium vivax captured from blood smear slides using a digital pathology device equipped with a microscope and camera. The dataset was unbalanced since the count of WBC or each stage of Plasmodium vivax in blood is not equal in proportion. The data collection was automatized to a certain extent by allowing the digital pathology device to capture sequentially and user chooses the required images with high clarity manually. Automatic capturing of images can sometimes give blurred images, images without WBCs or parasites, or images containing WBCs or parasites at the edges. In such cases, Manual capturing of images is done by scanning the whole blood smear slide. Next step is the image pre-processing step. It deals with an improvement of the image by enhancing features required for the purpose and suppressing irrelevant features and distortions. It helps to reduce noise which can affect the algorithm. Segmentation is one method which is essential for image analysis task, which segments only what is desired. Next is the feature extraction part. Feature extraction deals with transforming the original data into a dataset of features and makes use of lesser number of resources to represent the same. It is an important step in machine learning. It describes the whole data with sufficient accuracy. It enhances the speed and effectiveness of machine learning algorithm. It aims to reduce the number of features in a dataset by creating new features from the existing ones. When the input data to an algorithm is too large to be processed and it is suspected to be redundant, then it can be transformed into a reduced set of features, also named as feature vector. The various features extracted are area, mean, local binary pattern, aspect ratio, skewness, kurtosis, etc. of the WBC or parasite infected RBC cell. Next is the machine learning step. Machine learning is a field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. It is an application of artificial intelligence. It undoubtedly helps people to work more creatively and efficiently. The one among the best languages used to do a variety of tasks in machine learning is Python, which is used in this project. The features extracted in the previous step is used in this process for training and testing and then predicts the result from the decisions made based on its learning. Then the last step is the validation of results. Calculating model accuracy is a critical part of any machine learning project. Validation is thus performed where a trained model is evaluated with a testing dataset. The testing dataset is a separate portion of the same dataset from which the training set is derived. There is also something called cross-validation to evaluate machine learning models by training several ML models on subsets of available input data and evaluating them on the complementary subset of data. Validation of results deals with checking of the result predicted and then find out the accuracy and performance of the machine learning algorithm. Also to find where it has gone wrong, which predicted wrong output. The results are validated manually with the ground truth. Next is the phase 1, that is optimization of characterization of white blood cells. WBC plays an important role in the immune system fighting foreign organisms like virus, bacteria, etc. in order to preserve a sound body and protect it from diseases. Low WBC count may indicate that a person is in danger of infection. High WBC count might indicate an existing infection, tissue damage or leukemia. WBCs are nucleated, which distinguishes them from the anucleated red blood cells and platelets. The broadest category to classify WBC is granulocytes and agranulocytes. This broadest category can be further divided into the 5 main types: neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, lymphocytes and monocytes, which are distinguished by their physical and functional characteristics. Granulocytes are distinguished from agranulocytes by their nuclear shape, whether they are lobed or round, and by their cytoplasm granules, whether they are present or absent. Basophils, eosinophils, neutrophils are granulocytes where the nucleus is lobed and granules are present in the cytoplasm, whereas monocytes and lymphocytes are agranulocytes where the nucleus is round and granules are absent in cytoplasm. Neutrophils are the most abundant white blood cell constituting 60 to 70% of the circulating leukocytes. Then comes the lymphocytes, monocyte, eosinophils, and with least percentage basophils. Classification of WBCs help to diagnose diseases caused by abnormalities in white blood cells. The traditional procedure involving manual classification and segmentation of white blood cells with the help of a microscope has the following difficulties. It is time consuming, it requires more than 2 experts to make a decision, it takes a substantial effort to classify large number of cells, and it can produce inaccurate results due to human errors. So we go for automated classification of WBCs, which has the following advantages. It produces better accuracy if the algorithm used for classification is trained well. It can process larger number of cells and different shapes. It can avoid human errors. It requires less human efforts and produce faster results. Since advantages of automated classifications are considered, we should also take into account the disadvantages of automated classification, which were seen in specific to the project during the validation of results obtained from the algorithm of classification of WBC that was already developed. These issues were addressed to optimize the algorithm. This project deals with validating the results, which are issues faced and reasons for misclassification. It doesn't deal with the development of machine learning algorithm for the classification of WBC into its 5 types. Validation of results. Issues faced as a result of machine learning algorithm. Some methods failed in thresholding, morphological operations, and some methods wrongly detect the RBC clumped cells as WBC. Some methods tend to extract the nuclei of WBCs as expected, but it is not extracting the boundary of the cytoplasm as desired. However, boundary and nuclear shape are not sufficient to classify the WBC types because granularity plays an important role in determining the cells. Misclassification of cells. Some RBCs got classified as WBCs, error in classifying into WBC types, predicting wrong WBC type, and WBC at the edges did not get classified. So the reasons for these misclassifications are: it can be due to segmentation fault while segmenting nuclei and cytoplasm of WBC. It can be due to overlapped cells where the segmentation can then go wrong. Machine learning algorithm had very less data for classification as there are only less number of WBCs in microscopic blood smeared images. Poor quality of image dataset. Staining variations where ROI, the region of interest, will have more or less stain, which becomes hard to identify WBC. Smearing artifacts like air bubbles, dust particles, etc. Light intensity variations where light get focused at the center. Bad slide, which is a result of not properly smearing the slide. These are the samples of bad images. In the first image, you can see the clumped RBC cells and WBC in between, which becomes difficult to segment out WBC. In the second image, you can see RBC cells overlapped, which might wrongly get detected as WBC. In the third image, smearing artifacts like air bubbles, stain are seen. In the last image, you can see that the image quality is bad since it's blurred and light is focused at the center of the image. These are the examples of good and bad images. In the first image, cells are clumped, image is blurred, air bubbles are seen, WBC is present at the edge, and hence it's a bad image. Whereas in the second image, cells are discrete, WBC is clear and crisp, no air bubbles, and hence it's a good image. Summary of phase 1. This concludes the phase 1 of the project that deals with optimization of characterization of white blood cells. From all the images obtained, segregate the images containing at least one WBC. Identify the nucleated cells, referred to WBC cells since RBCs don't have nucleus, and remove the rest of the cell component. Then extract the nucleus with better segmentation method. Finally, the analysis is based on the shape of nucleus and cytoplasm ratio with boundary segmentation to classify WBC into its 5 different types. Optimization is done to increase accuracy in prediction result and to decrease misclassification. Validation of results was performed to find out where the algorithm has gone wrong and reasons for the same. This would help to check the performance of the algorithm and trace back to fix the problems found. Overall accuracy will be eventually increased. It increased from 79% to 85% and further accuracy can be improved. This step is continued until the algorithm gives out the best results and desired accuracy. Now we move on to the phase 2 of the project, that is the identification of Plasmodium vivax. Malaria is a life-threatening disease that are transmitted to people through the bites of infected female Anopheles mosquitoes. It is preventable and curable if diagnosed at the right time. Malaria is caused by protozoan parasites of the genus Plasmodium, single-celled organisms that cannot survive outside of their host. There are 5 species of Plasmodium that can infect humans and cause illness. Plasmodium falciparum, or in short P. falciparum, Plasmodium malariae or P. malariae, Plasmodium vivax or P. vivax, Plasmodium ovale or P. ovale, Plasmodium knowlesi or P. knowlesi. Out of these 5, Plasmodium falciparum is the most dangerous one, Plasmodium vivax is the most common one, and Plasmodium knowlesi that affects animals occasionally affects humans. The malarial parasite life cycle involves 2 hosts, mosquito and humans. In humans, it goes through 3 stages, trophocyte stage, skyjoint stage and the gametocyte stage. During a blood meal, a malaria-infected female Anopheles mosquito inoculates sporozoites into the human host. Sporozoites infect liver cells and mature into skyjoints, which rupture and release murozoites. Murozoites infect red blood cells and become the ring stage. The ring stage trophocytes mature into skyjoints, that is the skyjoint stage. Some parasites differentiate into sexual erythrocytic stage or the gametocyte stage. The gametocytes, male and female, are ingested by an Anopheles mosquito during a blood meal. In ring stage, parasites form a ring-like structure having a chromatin dot. Skyjoint stage is the multiplied version of the ring stage. Gametocyte stage is the sexual reproduction stage of parasite. Now talking about Plasmodium vivax in detail, as this project deals with only Plasmodium vivax identification. Plasmodium vivax can populate the bloodstream with sexual stage parasites. They form picked up by mosquitoes on their way to the next victim. So we can see more number of gametocyte stages in the images. Even when symptoms appear, because they are usually not immediately fatal, the parasite continues to multiply. The parasite can go dormant in the liver for days to years, causing no symptoms and remaining undetectable in blood test. The parasitized red blood cell is up to twice as large as a normal red blood cell, and Schuffner's dots are seen on the infected cell surface. Schuffner's dots have a spotted appearance varying in color from light pink to red yellow as colored with different stains. The parasite within it is often widely irregular in shape, described as amoeboid. Sky joints of Plasmodium vivax have up to 20 merozoites within them. It is rare to see cells with more than one parasite with them. Merozoites will only attach to immature blood cell, and therefore it is unusual to see more than 3% of all circulating erythrocytes parasitized. Blood smears are preferably made within 30 minutes of the blood draw and must certainly be made within an hour of the blood being drawn. The pathologist examines this blood smear under a microscope, which is time consuming because the pathologist has to examine the whole slide without giving the final result, and this process is tiring too. So we need to find a method to make this task much more simpler and fast. The images of different stages that we have seen is just a theoretical scenario. Practically, this is not the case. You can't see these exact similar patterns on images from blood smear. The images are extremely random, and I wasn't able to find the features described for each stage from those images. You will see the images obtained in the dataset. In this project, image dataset is a collection of images containing Plasmodium vivax only, showing 3 different stages infecting RBC. It was taken in automatic as well as manual mode using the in-house device. The whole blood smear slide was scanned by the device in automatic mode to capture images from smear that would contain images without Plasmodium vivax or poor quality images. Those images must be discarded to create a good data set. But that would lessen the number of data samples in the dataset to be trained. So manual mode of capturing was done to capture high quality images containing Plasmodium vivax only. As mentioned earlier, the images don't look similar to the theoretical scenario. These images are cropped to segment out only the infected RBC cell. These images have only Plasmodium containing 3 stages: the ring stage, skyjoint stage, and the gametocyte stage. The number of images of each stage is not equal. You can see more of gametocyte stage. These images are taken from all the regions of the slide and more from tail end to get discrete cells, which makes it easier to crop out the RBC cell. But more parasites are seen in the monolayer. These images were verified with the doctor to make sure that the images containing parasite and to identify which stage of Plasmodium vivax. When new images are obtained from the device, only after verifying with the doctor, it will be added on to the main data set. Now the task done. Capturing images in manual and automatic mode. A study on malarial parasite and verification with the doctor to know unique features of parasites. Extreme randomized characters were observed. 3D surface plot validation on whole image and individual cells. Histogram equalized plots were observed for normal and abnormal cells. Extracting color channel and plotting using graphical representation. Extracted features for machine learning. Then the last, deep learning method using Inception V3 architecture. Now looking into each one in detail. First one is a 3D surface plot. The whole image was inverted and the 3D surface plot was seen in ImageJ tool to find a pattern. It was tried for around 50 images, but similar patterns were not found among the images containing parasite. Each cell-wise plotting of 3D surface graphs were also tried, which also did not produce similarity. These are the results. The first image is the abnormal image, which means it has a parasite. Then the second image is the inversion of the original image. The third one is the 3D graph of the original image. Then the down part is the normal image where there is no parasite and is just the state. The second one is the inversion of the first image, original image, and the third is the 3D surface plot. These are the cell-wise plot. First one is infected cell, RBC cell, then the inversion of the infected RBC cell and 3D surface plot. Then comes the normal RBC cell, inversion, and then the 3D surface plot. WBC, inverted image, the 3D surface plot, and the last one is the platelet, the inverted platelet, and the 3D surface plot. Then we tried histogram equalization plots. The histograms of the whole image and after histogram equalization were plotted. These were also tried for 50 normal images and 50 abnormal images containing parasites. These are the results obtained. First is the original abnormal image containing parasite. Histogram of that image is taken, and then we performed histogram equalization on the original image, and the histogram of the equalized image is being plotted. Then comes a normal image without a parasite. Then the histogram of that image is taken. Then histogram equalization was performed. Then the last is the histogram plot of the histogram equalization image. Next is the color channel plots. By K-means algorithm, the cropped cell is classified into 5 classes, and then the pie chart of the topmost 5 colors in the cell along with their percentage is plotted. This is done for an infected cell, RBC, WBC and platelet, and checked if the golden pigment, which was found to be unique in parasite, is present in all the infected cells with least percentage among 5 colors. These are the results. First one is the infected RBC cell, the inversion, and you can see the golden pigment in the original image, and then it is being plotted using graphical representation. Then these are tried for RBC, WBC and platelet. Then comes the feature extraction part, as all those results do not give a proper output which were required. First one is the local binary pattern. It is a simple yet very efficient texture operator which labels the pixels of an image by thresholding the neighborhood of each pixel and considers that the result as a binary number. LBP energy and LBP entropy are calculated. This is the equation for LBP, where LBP PR is equal to summation over P is equal to 1 to P minus 1 S of GP minus GC, where S of X is equal to 1 if X is greater than or equal to 0 and 0 if X is less than 0. And P is the number of data points selected around center pixel value, each with radius R. GC is the gray value of center pixel and GP is the gray value of P. Next is the gray level coherence matrix, GLCM. It is a statistical method of examining texture that considers the spatial relationship of pixels. Texture features like contrast, dissimilarity, homogeneity, energy and correlation are extracted from GLCM. The equation is Pij is equal to Vij by summation over I, j is equal to 0 to n minus 1 Vij, where I and j are the row number and the column number respectively. Vij is a value in the cell ij, and Pij is the probability value recorded for the cell ij, and n is the number of rows or columns. Next is the Gabor filter, which is a linear filter used for text analysis, which means that it basically analyzes whether there are any specific frequency content in the image in specific directions in a localized region around the point or region of analysis, and from which Gabor energy and Gabor entropy can be calculated. Next is this QNS, which is a measure of asymmetry of an ideally symmetric probability distribution. It is given by the third order moment about the mean. And the next one is the kurtosis, which is a measure that defines how heavily the tails of distribution differ from the tails of normal distribution. It is given by the fourth order moment about the mean. These are the equations for skewness and kurtosis, where S of S is equal to 1 by variance of P the whole raised to 3 summation over B is equal to 0 to L minus 1 of P minus P mean the whole raised to 3 into P of B, and S of K is equal to 1 by variance of B the whole raised to 4 summation over B is equal to 0 to L minus 1 B minus B mean the whole raised to 4 P of B minus 3, where P of B is given by N of B by M, where B is the gray level of the image, M is the total number of pixels in a neighborhood window centered about an expected pixel. N of B is the number of pixels of gray value B in the same window, that's 0 less than or equal to B less than or equal to L minus 1, and sigma is the variance. Next, cosine similarity is calculated, which is a measure of similarity between two non-zero vectors of an inner product space that measures the cosine of the angle between them. Mean pixel value, which is the average of all the pixels. Area of selection is calculated in square pixels. Perimeter, the length of the outside boundary of selection. Maximum pixel value and minimum pixel value in the image are calculated. Difference in maximum and minimum pixel value is calculated. Ratio between maximum and minimum pixel value is calculated. AR aspect ratio, which is the ratio of major axis and minor axis. Center of mass, this is the brightness weighted average of the x and y coordinates of the pixels in the image of selection. Then the summary of feature extraction part. More features were required to train machine learning algorithm since features extracted were not enough to prove the uniqueness of Plasmodium vivax. But more features and further machine learning algorithm could not be implemented due to COVID-19 situation. So in order to complete identification of Plasmodium vivax part and to compensate for what was missed in BOSH, deep learning algorithm was implemented using online dataset. Deep learning was tried instead of classical machine learning methods since DL is a state-of-the-art method compared to the traditional ML methods, and also features extracted from the images taken by the in-house device in BOSH could not be used as there were limitations for the same. Next is the deep learning part. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning that imitates the working of the human brain in processing data and creating patterns for use in decision making. It has networks capable of learning from data that is unstructured or unlabeled, and this learning can be supervised or unsupervised. Also known as deep neural network or deep neural learning. Deep learning networks can be successfully applied to big data for knowledge discovery, knowledge-based prediction, and knowledge application. The difference between ML and DL is that ML uses algorithm to parse data, learn from that data, and make informed decisions based on what it has learned, whereas DL structures algorithm in layers to create an artificial neural network that can learn and make intelligent decisions on its own. In this project, Inception v3 was used as it reduces computational resources and fewer parameters without compromising its efficiency. Other architectures are AlexNet, BGGNet, ResNet, etc., which have very less accuracy and more parameters than Inception v3. It has been trained and tested using online Kaggle available data. These are two images showing infected and uninfected RBC. Likewise, we have around 15,000 images each for uninfected and infected RBC. Now about the Inception v3 model. Inception v3 is an image recognition model that has been shown to attain accuracy greater than 78.1% on the ImageNet dataset. The ImageNet project is a large visual database designed for use in visual object recognition software research. More than 14 million images have been hand annotated to show what objects are pictured and in at least 1 million of the images, bounding boxes are also provided. ImageNet contains more than 20,000 categories, with each typical category consisting of several hundred images. Inception v3 consists of two parts. First, feature extraction part with a convolution neural network, and second, classification part with fully connected and softmax layers. The pre-trained Inception v3 model achieves state-of-the-art accuracy for recognizing general objects with 1,000 classes like zebra, dishwasher, etc. The model extracts general features from input images in the first part and classifies them based on those features in the second part. In transfer learning that aims at storing knowledge obtained while solving one problem and applying it to a different but related problem, when a new model is built to classify the original dataset, the feature extraction part can be reused and retrain the classification part with original dataset. The total number of online Kaggle images used was 27,558 that contain infected and non-infected RBCs, out of which 80% of images was used for training and remaining 20% for testing. Accuracy thus obtained was 79.15%, and this can be further improved by hyperparameter adjustments and architectural changes. There was restriction in availability of data. Now looking into details of architecture of Inception v3. Inception v1 is the first version of deep convolutional architecture, which was refined to Inception v2 by introducing batch normalization, and later to Inception v3 by the introduction of additional factorization ideas. Factorizing convolutions. It focuses on reducing the number of connections parameters without decreasing the efficiency. When two 3x3 convolution layers replace one 5x5 convolution layer, then the number of parameters gets reduced by 28%. When factorization is done into asymmetric convolutions, replacing one 3x3 convolution by one 3x1 convolution and then one 1x3 convolution, then the number of parameters gets reduced by 33% as shown in first figure. Then Inception module B becomes as shown in second figure. Inception module C is used for high dimensional representation as shown in third figure. Auxiliary classifiers. It is used as regularization, and batch normalization is also used in this. Instead of two, only one auxiliary classifier is used on the top of 17 by 17 layer. Efficient grid size reduction. Conventionally, such as in LXNet and VGGNet, the feature map downsizing is done by max pooling, which becomes a drawback as it's either too greedy by max pooling followed by convolution layer, or too expensive by convolution layer followed by max pooling. Hence, an efficient grid size reduction is proposed as shown. With the efficient grid size reduction, 320 feature maps are done by convolution with stride 2. 320 feature maps are obtained by max pooling, and these two sets of feature maps are concatenated as 640 feature maps and go to the next level of Inception module. Programming environment and packages. First one is the Spyder. Spyder is an open source cross-platform integrated development environment (IDE) for scientific programming in the Python language. Python is an interpreted, high-level, general-purpose programming language. In this project, the codes are written in Python language, and Spyder platform is used for its running. Spyder integrates with a number of prominent packages in the scientific Python stack, including NumPy, SciPy, Matplotlib, etc., as well as other open source software. Next one is the Fiji ImageJ tool. Fiji's main purpose is to provide a distribution of ImageJ with many bundled plugins. Fiji features an integrated updating system and aims to provide users with a coherent menu structure, extensive documentation in the form of detailed algorithm descriptions and tutorials, and the ability to avoid the need to install multiple components from different sources. All the image processing steps in this project are tried with this tool. The malarial parasite containing images are converted into different color spaces using FijiJ ImageJ tool to find out which is more prominent to identify the parasite. Conclusion. Classification of WBC based on its type is a challenging task. Improving the accuracy of WBC segmentation, nucleus and cytoplasm has always been a concern. All the methods try to decrease the execution time, increase the accuracy, and thus optimize in all possible ways. Automation of this WBC classification is important to decrease human error and increase efficiency of prediction. Algorithm for plotting graphs for analysis and identification of unique features of Plasmodium vivax, which include 3D surface plots, histogram equalization plots, and color channel plots, were implemented to identify unique features of parasites. But these algorithms do not give the result required since uniqueness was not found. Feature engineering was then performed to extract features for training process in machine learning. But more features need to be extracted which are unique just for the parasite to yield better accuracy in identification and classification of Plasmodium vivax. Then initiated implementation of deep learning algorithm with Inception V3 model. It could not be completed due to logistic reasons caused by COVID-19. Future scope. This project can be further extended to identify the other 4 parasite types: Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium ovale, and Plasmodium knowlesi in the images, classify them, and also give the count of it. Also, to improve the accuracy, many other features can be extracted. For that, deeper and structural analysis of the images containing parasites is required, which can possibly extract features, unique features for the same. Deep learning methods like convolutional neural networks can be used to know what features or how the minute pixel information are used by the inner layers to classify the parasites with better accuracies because identification of features from the randomized data is complicated. Standardization of the stain or dye can be done so that based on only that particular stain or dye, the algorithm needs to be developed. As different smearing techniques, thin and thick smear, are used which can affect the light illumination on images and hence classification accuracy, standardization of that is also important, which can be looked upon in the future. References. These are the references. That brings an end to my presentation. Thank you for listening. And now, if there are any questions or doubts, I would be pleased to answer them. Thank you all for your attention.